Hello everyone and welcome to a game you were requesting ever since it happened, but we were kind of busy and we were only getting around to showing it now. It happened like a week ago in the chess.com's FIDE online Olympiad, where Alexandra Kosteniuk played Irina Krush, and this is just one incredible game. As it often is with such incredible games, the beauty of the game is not only in the moves that were played, but more often than not in the moves that were not played. So let's just check it out and see why this game is so impressive. So Kosteniuk with the white pieces opens with e4. We have c5 by Krush going for the Sicilian defense, knight to f3, d6, and now d4. So nothing out of the ordinary here. Captures, knight to f6, knight to c3, and now pretty much in every game that we've had the Sicilian defense in the past few videos, we always had the knight of defense. But here we have the classical variation, knight to c6, and how can you proceed here? And interestingly, the classical variation is only the third most popular Sicilian. First is, of course, the Najdorf, then is the Dragon, and then it's the classical Sicilian. So maybe something to try and take Kosteniuk out of preparation. We have bishop to g5, still the most popular way to counter the traditional Sicilian, the Richter-Rauzer attack. We have e6, and now queen to d2. The queen now will allow the white king to go queenside. You're going to castle nicely. You have eyes on that bishop on g5, so if queen to a5, maybe the bishop will not be attacked. So very nice placement for the queen, and you still keep an eye on this knight. So bishop to e7, continuing development, and now queenside castles. And now what do you play here? Well, the most popular ideas here are just castles or the immediate knight captures on d4, but Irina here goes for a6, and if you've ever tried learning the Sicilian from an old book, they always say that it's you have to be very careful not to mix up lines. Is a6 a part of the traditional Sicilian in this setup? Is it not a part of it? Is it only in the Najdorf? Is it useful here? Of course, it's always useful to take away the b5 square because so many of the white's pieces are going after this square, but it is somewhat rarer than the other continuation. So let's see how white proceeds here. Well, you have a chance to mess up black's pawn structure, so let's do this. Knight captures on c6, b captures on c6, and now bishop captures on f6, and you can't capture with the bishop because you hang the d6 pawn. So g captures on f6, and now bishop to c4, nicely developing. And here what can black do? Well, here you could continue with something like bishop b7, queen to c7, maybe castle queenside. Okay, your pawn structure on the queen side is a little messed up, but so is your pawn chain on the king side. And as white already castled queenside, maybe white will not be so eager to push those queenside pawns to attack the black king there. Maybe you could leave the king in the center of the board, as all of these pawns are maybe nicely protecting it. But we have castles kingside. Now, whether this is castling to safety or not, let's see what happened here. There is one game in the database between Daniel Vocaturo and Greenfield where h4 was played with the idea of rook h3, rook to g3, and bringing the rook into the attack this way, but Kosteniuk plays rook h to e1, and it is now only as of move 12 that we have a completely new game. The idea is similar. You want to bring the rook into the game and start some sort of an attack against the black king. If you can get maybe a rook on h3, queen h6, deliver queen h6 checkmate, will be very good for white, but of course that's a lot of moves, and black will have something to say about this. So king to h8, of course you want to free up the g file for the rook. We have rook to e3 going for that rook lift, and rook to g8 now. And here we have f4 by white. It's a very interesting move that grabs more space here. Yes, you now have very nice control, and you allow the queen to defend the g2 pawn. But also it's a waiting move. You are waiting to see if black will try some sort of an attack of his own, of her own with rook to b8, queen to b6, maybe going after the pawn here. But it's never easy because the bishop can always go to b3, and you will have to waste some moves before you can dislodge this bishop and create some sort of an attack. It just feels like white's attack is happening a little bit faster. So what's the principal thing to do? As always, when you're attacked on the king side, you will counterattack in the center, and so Irina does. She plays d5, now challenges the bishop here, and now before reacting to this, queen to e2. Now the capturing of the bishop is impossible, as you would hang your queen on d8. So bishop to d6, e6. Now, capturing of the bishop is definitely possible, but also just bishop captures on f4 as the rook and king are on the same diagonal. So the only move that helps white here is e5. Goes after the bishop. We have f captures on e5, and now bishop to c5. Now your rook is attacked, and also your bishop is attacked. So what can you do here? Rook to h3, and this rook to h3 move is a beautiful, beautiful piece sacrifice. You can't capture the bishop directly, but you can capture it indirectly, because queen to g5 check, then your queen is no longer on the d file, and then you pick up the bishop. And this is exactly what Irina does. She plays queen to g5 check, king to b1, and only now d captures on c4. So the piece has been sacrificed, but the lines of attack have been opened. So how do you continue here? Of course, there is but one move. Knight to e4 attacks the queen and the bishop, and this is where the fun really starts, because how can black even continue here? You have to be extremely precise, otherwise you're just getting destroyed. One fine example of this is what if queen captures on g2? You offer a queen trade, everything is hanging. The queen will be attacked, the knight will be attacked, the rook will be attacked. So how can white stop this? Well, if queen captures on g2, we have a very nice attack here with rook captures on h7. King captures, and now knight to f6 with check. And now the king cannot go to the g file, because then we pick up the queen. The rook will no longer be defending the queen. So you have to play king to h8, now queen to h5 check, king to g7, now comes queen to h7 check, king to f8, and now queen to h6 with check. And now it doesn't matter what you play, if you block with the queen, then we deliver the very nice rook to d8 check. And now after the king moves, now we go for rook captures on g8. We sacrifice our queen, and if black doesn't accept it, there's really nothing for black to do here. If you capture, of course, this is checkmate, and other things don't really help. So here the white queen cannot be captured, and well, other than that, you really don't have a move. So after queen to h6 check, you can't really block with the queen in this variation. You have to play something else. You have to move the king right away, but even this doesn't help, because the king is now in the mating net. We're just going to play knight to g8 with knight captures on g8 with check, and it doesn't matter. If you capture the knight, then queen to f6 check, and it's all over. It doesn't really matter what black does. And if king to e8, we just repeat knight to f6 check, king e7. We're going to play queen to h8, and there's no defense. You're either getting checkmated here, or if you somehow try to defend this square with the rook, then rook to d7 is also checkmate. So this is what happens if you play something like queen captures on g2. Seems like a perfectly fine move, but it doesn't help. If you just ignore that bishop hanging on c5 and play something like queen to g6, saying, okay, you do whatever you want, I just want to survive the attack. After knight captures on c5, there is still not all that much for black to do. There really isn't anything you can play. I mean, that knight is just going to return to f6, and then the attack starts all over again, with black being down that bishop. And if you capture here on g2, again, just queen to h5, and there's really not much you can do here. You can stop the attack for now, queen g6, queen h4, but still, black's position is just terrible. The rooks are not yet connected. There's no way to develop this bishop. The knight controls all the squares. The pawns are blocking this bishop. Without developing the bishop, you can't really develop the rook. So this is a completely winning game for white. So the third option, and the one that Irina chooses, is queen captures on e5. This defends the bishop here, and also asks, what is your move now? Now you don't have the f6 square for your knight. I just remove the defender. I can always just capture it, and there's no rook captures on h7 followed by some sort of a check, because the queen covers both f6 and the g5. So here we have, after queen captures on e5, rook to h5. The only way to continue the attack, now forcing the black queen to move, and this is the critical moment of the game. Here, black has to play a move that you really don't want to play, and that is queen to g7. You have to say, all right, your attack has merit, I'm going to give up the piece and then try and survive. And had black done this, the game would probably continue. For example, rook captures on c5, we can play rook to b8, threaten checkmate, and after you stop this with some like b3, let's say c captures, a captures, and now we can even play e5. We stop this rook from going back to the king side to help out with the attack. We free our e6 square for our bishop. We could also play bishop to f5, and black definitely has compensation. White is overall better, but black definitely has compensation. But in the game, black tried to hold on to everything, played f5, but this runs into well, a very, very unfortunate move for black, so don't pause the video just yet. I'm gonna show you the move. The move is knight to g5. So again, the queen is offered, but the queen cannot be captured. If queen captures on e2, then rook captures on h7 is checkmated. There's no stopping that. And what do you play here? Well, you have to keep an eye on the h7 square, otherwise you're getting checkmated. Of course, you can't play anything with the rook, then we can even play rook to d8, or the queen is hanging here. So the queen has to move, queen to c7, but now feel free to pause the video and try to find the only way to win for white, or rather the absolute quickest way, while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting this another offer of a queen that cannot be accepted. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is of course queen to e5 with check. That's the good stuff. This is what Alexandra played, and congratulations to everyone who found it. You are an excellent offerer of queens that cannot be captured. So what can you play here? Of course, if the queen is captured, rook captures on h7 is checkmate. That's not possible. So rook to g7, this is pretty much the only move that allows black to prolong the game a little bit. And now another beautiful moment. You could of course play rook captures on h7. The rook on g7 is pinned, so this is possible, but this is only a mate in 4, and it seems that Kosteniuk wanted to play a perfect game here, and she rather goes for a mate in 3, and that's rook to d8 with check. Now we offer a rook, and the rook not only can be accepted but has to be accepted. If you just block with the bishop, then this will be checkmate after rook captures. So the rook has to be accepted, and now of course comes rook captures on h7 check. The queen no longer guards the rook here. The rook cannot move as it's pinned by the queen from e5. We have king to g8, and now queen captures on g7 with checkmate. And this amazing game with only 26 moves occurred in the FIDE Online Chess Olympiad 2021. So truly an impressive game. These games are just incredible when you have like a queen offer that cannot be accepted, and again and again and again and again. If you remember Gelfan's game against Hikaru Nakamura, also the Immortal Queen game, or Steinitz Immortal Rook, also that rook just kept gobbling up pawns along the 7th rank and could not capture them. Those are all, you know, games to, you know, enjoy for ages, and I believe this is one such game. So thank you for suggesting it, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And also, before I forget, if you guys are interested in checking out Kosteniuk's version of the story, she also made a video on this game for chess.com's channel, so I will put that in the description below. It will be the first thing you see, so do check it out if you want. It also starts with hello everyone, so it's good from the start. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for suggesting it. If you have any other games we were too busy to cover the Olympiad, do use hashtag suggestion and I will go through them. I would like to thank Shanti Chaganti, Matthias Binte, Federico Conte Lofredo, Zachary Bell, and Mike Pomerening for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and on what else is happening in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.